America's Roman Catholic bishops have approved new guidance on who should receive Holy Communion. The issue stems from a debate over whether Catholic politicians who support abortion rights, like President Biden, should be able to receive the sacrament. The new guidelines do not directly bar them from receiving communion. However, it doesn't stop individual bishops from denying them either. Despite arguments from some Catholic leaders, Mr. Biden says Pope Francis gave him the go-ahead to receive communion when they met last month. For more, I want to bring in Peter Smith. Peter is a reporter covering religion and politics for the Associated Press. Peter, good to have you on the show. So tell us, what's the purpose of this new document?
Well, the bulk of the document really isn't even guidance so much as it is a reflection on communion itself. However, it emerged from months of discussion among bishops about the issue of communion, particularly for politicians such as President Biden, who obviously is a very high-profile Catholic, goes to Mass a lot, and there are some bishops who have said, well, this creates a lot of confusion because he supports legal abortion, and this is in contradiction to the Church's moral teaching. The document itself doesn't, however, go into great detail on it mainly reflects communion, but for those bishops who might be inclined to or would deny him communion, there certainly is material in there that they could cite.
So if it gives individual bishops the authority to deny communion to politicians like President Biden, has the Archdiocese of Washington said whether President Biden will be allowed to receive communion in churches there?
The Archbishop of Washington has not denied him, or has said he has been welcome to receive communion, and Biden has received communion in there. Now, the Conference of Bishops can't dictate policy to member bishops. Each bishop is in control of his own diocese. So some have said, well, if Biden shows up in my diocese, I'm going to make sure he doesn't get communion, but others have said he is welcome to. The Archbishop of Washington, Wilton Gregory, has basically taken a similar stance to Pope Francis, which is to be more in dialogue, to take more of a pastoral rather than confrontational approach, even when there are serious areas of disagreement.
Along those lines, as I mentioned, the president met recently with Pope Francis. He is the head of the Roman Catholic Church. How much say has he had in this ongoing debate?
Well, Pope Francis himself has said he has never denied communion to anybody for any reason. And he's emphasized the teaching, as he's often said, that communion is not like a reward for the saints, it's food for the sinner. And so, again, his attitude has more been of welcoming. Now, President Biden himself said that the Pope Francis actually told him, keep taking communion as a good Catholic. Now, the Vatican hasn't commented on this assertion. However, Biden did go on to attend church in Rome after their recent meeting. He did take communion, and the Pope, one of his jobs is as Bishop of Rome, so he could have forbidden the president from taking communion in his own diocese, and he did not.
And this also aligns with the majority of Catholics in the United States who believe that President Biden should be allowed to receive communion. A recent Pew Research poll found 67% support, while only 29% do not. Is the Catholic Church at all worried about the politicization of the sacrament?
I think it depends on who you ask. And there are some who would say that they're not politicizing it at all. I mean, leaders of the conference have actually said, oh, this is more of a reflection. However, yes, there are bishops who are definitely worried about that. And there are bishops who say they're actually worried in the other direction. They're worried about scandalizing Catholics who are actually quite opposed to the idea of someone like Biden actually receiving communion. So you have a lot of varied responses there.
So our viewers obviously come from all different faith backgrounds or none at all. I want to take a step back a little bit. And you know what, actually, even Peter, we've heard another survey that many Catholics themselves don't fully understand or necessarily believe church doctrine regarding communion. So in this step backwards, I'm hoping that you can just leave us with an explanation for our viewers about why the sacrament is so important to Catholic faithful and the significance in sort of a larger sense of this debate.
Well, the significance is, that the communion, it's the absolute heart of Catholic worship. It's very central, and the Church teaches that in reality, the body and blood, that the bread and wine become the body and blood of Jesus. It's a doctrine that, again, it's central to the Church's identity and all. Now, there was a survey that, as you pointed out, that a large number of Catholics, their reply would indicate that they actually believed that it was only symbolic and not actual, that the presence of Christ was in the Eucharist, which really did take aback a lot of bishops here who have said, whoa, what is going on here if most of our people don't actually understand the teaching? However, there are other researchers who say, this is a complex doctrine. It really depends on how you phrase it. And if you ask people differently, like there's another survey result where people are asked differently, and there was a much higher level of people who said they understood and agreed with church teaching. So it really depends on how the question is asked.
All right. Peter Smith, thank you so much.
Thank you.